We wanted just to remind everyone that today we do have the president as our guest speaker, a variety of topics. And we know there is hot topics, right, with the directive of returning to campus that's at the forefront. We do want to make sure that everyone knows, yes, our meetings are public. We do have our recordings online after every meeting, so you can tune in or share afterwards. And only staff senators for our bylaws are allowed, and or our guests, invited guests, are permitted to speak during we follow Robert's Rules of Order. So if you do have any extra questions or questions currently or extra after this meeting, we do ask that you please connect with your staff senator. And if you do not know who your staff senator is, please go to our website and you're then going to be able to find in your area who is that person and their contact information. We are going to be sharing questions. So we're going to do, we've already established our quorum approval and minutes. We're going to move towards now. So Jessica did send out the March meeting minutes and all senators should have had a chance to review them. Are there any comments or questions before we move to approval of minutes? I would like to move to approve March's minutes. Senator Bellon, thank you. Who would like to second? Awesome. Senator Carey, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The minutes for March have been approved. All right. So updates from my angle. First, we want to congratulate our women's basketball team, the athletic staff for making it to the finals. So let's give much a round of applause. It was a huge effort. Even though they didn't bring home the title, they've done it before. We are excited for next season and hope that they can do it again. For Gift for Garnet, thanks you all for pushing out and supporting Gift for Garnet. We were able to raise $750, which is incredible for our first push right through each of you. And a lot of questions have come in about the coffee blocks, excuse me. Such a magnitude of people being able to share their love of the coffee blocks, that now there's a bigger order coming, and so development will get those into the hands of all the donors that donated for that as well. But Ashley Dantzler, please stand. That's exactly.
Yay!
Sharing as well, Staff Excellence Award of 10 distinct awards for the university, and nominations are open. And every award winner, it's for individuals, right? But every award winner is going to have a recognition, Staff Excellence. Staff Excellence Award. Look at a plaque as well as a cash prize. And this is so important to nominate your fellow colleagues, staff members that have done incredible work. There's so many different categories, right? That we want to make sure that you check this out. So if you have not heard about this, I encourage you to go ahead and scan that QR code and nominate someone that's in your area or somebody to collaborate with often. We need to be able to tap and recognize the great contribution of our staff. And, oh yes, please.
If you nominate someone, are they get notified, or they just get notified if they're a winner, or
Pastor,
Maybe not notified, everyone gets nominated.
everyone, so Caroline will share that everyone that gets nominated will be notified they get nominated. And I'm saying, I'm repeating as well for those in the room. If you didn't know, we have our online individuals, and so we have to just repeat here for everyone.
Go Barry.
All right, so collaborate. We're really excited to share that we're going to have the full Staff Appreciation Week happening May 19th to the 23rd this year. May 19th, again, being our Staff Excellence Awards Day on that Monday, and then that Thursday being the Staff Appreciation Day for all staff to come to the Russell House right outside where Davis Field is and have lunch, community, just collaborate together. So please save the date, right, for the Staff Appreciation Day. Share that with your areas. We do have formally the RSVP is online, so we will share that link afterwards that you can share with your constituents. But we do ask that people RSVP, so we have an estimate number of how many people are going to be there that day. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can choose again ahead of time kind of what food option you're leaning towards. That way our catering colleagues can have an idea of how much food to bring of what category. But any questions about Staff Appreciation Week? Please share this with your leadership. I know some areas are going to probably do something for their staff, right, that week. And so if there's any fun ideas, a way to just, again, bring up spirit as well as just celebrate the good work of our staff, we want that to happen that week. Wonderful. In a collaboration as well, we have been asked by our colleagues in the Division of Student Affairs. They help host and put on these major spring milestone events for students and need support. And staff, being the backbone of our institution, do have opportunities that you can volunteer coming up as soon as next week with University Awards Day. And there's many all the way to commencement happening. So if you are interested and would like to volunteer, we will also send this out in our minutes afterward with the sign up link. But there's many events happening and it's during the work time. So just working with your teams, working with your supervisor, and then being able to give back to the university in that way. From our previous meeting, we had the employee well-being unit as well as the pharmacy, the director of pharmacy come to our meeting. And they did share how they wanted to ask us for feedback, and this goes for all staff at the university, feedback on what we would like to see with a pharmacy delivery service, and if that is of interest to the staff here at USC as well as faculty. So please feel free. This is going to take you to a survey, but you can give your input. We will share this link out afterwards as well to capture more data for them, but wanting to give them real-time feedback of what staff would like to see with the pharmacy on campus, right, that everyone could use. Staff Senate elections, we had 61 applications for senator seats, so that is incredible. And elections will open up on the Monday the 14th and will go for 2 weeks till April 28th. And that is where every distinct unit is going to be then using their login, right? And they should be able to see the senators that are only there for their area, and then they will select from there. We did have an understanding, right, with academic advising centralizing, and it actually lives under the provost unit, that if academic advisors went out for a senator role, they will be logged under the provost reporting offices area. That is something that we are considering within the membership committee, but for this season of election, we are still keeping as we have with what the seats are and where they're allocated. Just wanted to make sure we shared that because there was confusion amongst various colleges, just specifically if you had an academic advisor trying to go for an elect or a senator seat. We are going to present Chris and I at Faculty Senate in the beginning of May. We are very excited to share who we are, what we do, and then again, our priorities for this year as well as coming years, and partner and find ways to partner. We know we do with our Staff Policy and Wellbeing Committee, with the Faculty Welfare Committee, but we're going to figure out how to make a more robust collaboration happen. And then is Michaela Rippey here? Could you please stand up? Let's congratulate Michaela Rippey for winning our design contest. So we put out our first for Staff Appreciation Day design contest, and Michaela, thank you for submitting your work. Thank you to all that did submit. And this was a selected one, and we're so excited to have this and show this off at Staff Appreciation Day, print it off on some goodies and be able to give the artwork out. So thank you so much for submitting. And again, we are so excited to have our president here today to talk with you all about a variety of things that are happening in higher education, specifically with this campus. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask President Amiridis to come on up here and let's give him a warm welcome. Thank you for being here. Yep, and if you want to stay right around here, just for the microphone.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Do I need to use this or I'm fine like that? I'm good. All right, great.
Actually, could you use the microphone?
All right. Working. It's great to see you. It's a pleasure to be with you again this semester. And I know that the main issue that a number of you want to talk about is hybrid and remote work. But before we go there, I want to answer some questions that you sent me before all of this, and then we can have the discussion and talk about whatever you want. One of the questions that came to me is what worries me the most in today's environment. And of course, always in this position, the first thing that you worry about is safety. If anything happens to a member of the community, a student, that's the worst part of the job. But beyond safety, in terms of trends and operational issues, there are two things that worry me. The first one is recession. And those of us who have been around for a number of years, we know that this happens every time. It's inevitable. We expected to have one. I remember the 2000.com. I was here. I remember the 2008 with the real estate that it lasted a little bit longer. And by now it's 17 years that we didn't have one. And who knows what the next course will be. Maybe tariffs will do it. But it's not new. And we need to be prepared. And unfortunately, the way that it looks right now, it may be even more dangerous and more serious than expected. So that's one thing that keeps me awake, thinking about potentially the next recession. And the other part that I worry about is the public trust. Because the public trust towards universities has been deteriorating, and it has been deteriorating consistently over a number of years by now. It's not recent. It's over 10 years, 12 years. It's coming from both sides, from the right and from the left, at different rates and for different reasons, but it's coming from both. And part of the problem that we have in higher education, we are very excited and do want to be understood, but we don't give others the opportunity to tell us and understand where they're coming from. And that actually increases the gap between higher education and the general public. I think, and that's what I'm trying to do and what we are trying to do here, is in order to regain the trust, we need to continue focusing on the mission, making sure that we provide the best outcomes for the students and the best outcomes for the state, since we're a state university. I think we're developing this relationship at this point, and I think that from this point of view, we may see slowly that we will start regaining the trust, at least here in this state, although this is a national problem that we have. Another question that I had was my thoughts of the downsizing of the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education, and the impact on higher education, and specifically on the impact of the University of South Carolina. It's difficult it's early actually, to respond to a question like this without knowing where we're heading. Because we know that the Department of Education at this point is decreasing in numbers, but is this the end? Is it going to be a complete dismantled of the Department of Education? And what is the new components that they're going to be bought, right? Because we hear different possibilities, that some of the funds will go straight to the states, and the states will distribute things that the Department of Education does, or they may be cut off, or. So it's difficult to answer this question. I think for me, the biggest number one concern that I had with the Department of Education from the very beginning was the possibility of having some significant changes in the Pell Grants. That would be a disaster. It would be a disaster across the universities and would be a disaster for the country. The good part for this is that President Trump made a statement that he will not touch, he will not be affected, the Pell Grants will not be affected. So that's one thing that at least at this point is outside of it's off the table, right? What we have seen is a number of research grants being eliminated, and I think this will continue with the Department of Education. We have been successful in a few of these grants, and of course we're concerned that they will be eliminated, and a couple of them have been actually stopped by now. There are other programs that are very important. The TRIO program is a very important program for us, and it's one that has worked well. It has done great work. I haven't had anything negative, but with all the changes in DOE, it is possible there is some uncertainty about programs like this one. There's also the Title VI and Title IX guidelines, but that part actually doesn't concern me that much because the guidelines are changing every time that the government is changing. We have seen change and change and change again. The most recent one, just 3 days before the inauguration of the new administration, we had a dear colleague letter telling us that NIL has to be distributed equally, which if this is the last thing that you do 3 days before you move out, kind of scratch my head about it. And of course, 5 days later said ignore the previous guidelines. So we are used to adjusting in this case. So for these cases, I think we will not have a problem. We will be able to adjust without doing damage. There were a number of questions about where we are in federal government grants and changes, and are these going to affect budget cuts and possibly position cuts? Up to now, we have a relatively small number of grants that have been terminated. The total amount of money that we're talking about, these grants, is on the order of 15 million. And 15 million is a big number, and it's an important number for 1 million or 500,000 for the PI who has this grant and the department that they are in. But looking at the whole university, given that every year we have 310, was last year, grants, it's a very small percentage that we can absorb. We don't have a problem there. One concern the other part is the change of the IDC, right, which is only at NIH. And the amount of money that is affecting us in this case is around 25 million. It's not 15 million. And the IDC money are distributed across the colleges, primarily, and the vice president for research. One of the concerns was that this is not going to be only at NIH, but it will be extended to all the agencies, the research agencies of the federal government. We haven't seen this. So this is interesting that NSF, DOE, DOD are not affected, and that makes the problem for us smaller, at least for the time being. Again, these 25 million over a period of years, because some of these grants take a number of years until they're included. And by the way, still it hasn't been decreased, the IDC, because still the courts are involved. But it's something that again we absorb because of the funds that we have, the carry forward funds that the colleges have. Now, other schools, especially ones with big academic healthcare systems, have seen huge numbers. When we are talking about Pittsburgh, University of Pennsylvania, UC San Diego, the losses that they have, or they will have, because again, they're still in the courts, right? The losses that they see are between 200 and 400 million. That's why you see a number of these institutions freezing hires, do not bring in graduate students this year, and potentially laying off some faculty, or not tenured faculty, but people that they were just doing research faculty and other employees. We're nowhere near that because the numbers that we see, again, are significantly smaller than what you see and what you hear in the news about the effects that they have at other institutions. I believe, and I may be too optimistic, that this is not going to end where the first reaction from the federal government was with 15% as the indirect costs. And I don't know how many of you know, or I'm throwing numbers that you're scratching your heads right now. What in the world is he talking about? It's the indirect costs that we get. This is something that we negotiate a number of years, every 5 or 7 years, it depends where you are. And that adds to the grant that we have all the costs that they are not directly to the grant, but it's indirect. So support services, infrastructure that we have, and so on. Our number was 49%. This is our ITC rate. And the federal government took it just arbitrary number, 15% for everybody, right? I think that there's going to be renegotiation, and I think that we will come to some reasonable number, probably on the order of 30% or so. Until then, we are managing where we are, and still we do not have long-term problems at this point. So it's wait and see type of reaction. And I can say this because of the small number. If right now we had a deficit of 400 million, you would hear me saying something completely different and what the other presidents are saying to their staff. There were a number of questions asking about staff recruitment, staff retention, and staff recognition. Let me start with the staff recruitment, how we recruit and what do we see, right? I think the strong cards that we have when we're recruiting people, both faculty and staff, is the attractive environment that we have and the stable environment that we have. Financially, we're strong at this point, at the same time that other institutions are not. They are taking measures that I don't see why we should take, and I don't see happening in the near future. I can never say what can happen, 2 or 3 years from now. But what I'm talking about is even large publics, West Virginia University, the University of Connecticut, Clemson. They have stopped hiring. Some of them are cutting programs. University of Connecticut also is part of it. I think I mentioned it. So we don't have a problem that others have. In fact, we are hiring at this point, and we are hiring aggressively in terms of faculty members with 100 new faculty members because we have the resources and we have the growth that they don't see. For a lot of these institutions, the problem is enrollments. And that's why you see why we're doing well, because our enrollments continue to increase and the demand for the university is becoming larger and larger. When I came back here 3 years ago, we had approximately 45,000 applications for the freshman class. This year, we're at 60,000 applications. And out of these 60,000 applications, 45,000 are out-of-state students. That tells you that we are truly a national university with a very good reputation. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to us. That's the benefit that we have, and that's why I think it's attractive, because it sends a message for a stable environment financially and for an attractive environment as well. Turnover, because we're talking about staff recruitment and staff retention, right? Turnover specifically for the staff. There were some questions about what's going to happen with the turnover of the staff that we have. Well, the turnover has significantly decreased. In 2022, we had a turnover of between 17 and 18% of the staff that we had. By now, we are down to 10%. Last year, for the classified staff, it's less than 10%. It's 9%, single digits. And we expect that the number will go further down this year. So even the overall number will be in single digits. So I don't worry that much about retention at this point. I was worried a lot about it 3 years, because when you rehire 20% or 18% of your staff, you have a problem, right? Salary analysis. I know that many of you may have bigger expectations, but the bottom line is that we did this analysis and we put some funds in there, at least to cover some gaps that existed. And when it comes to the most vulnerable staff members that we have, hourly, people who do on hourly basis, either grounds or custodial or food services, we increased significantly the lowest hour rate, and we continue to do it for 3 years in a row. The question also was about what do you do to recognize the staff. I'm very proud of the work that we did together between the Senate and the administration, and recognizing excellence among the staff members. We will have another nice event, and we're adding now the awards that we're providing. And I had a question, specific question from the School of Medicine in Greenville. Why can we not participate? Because we are at a significant distance from Colombia. And my answer to this, and I will talk to the dean there, why not doing it one day there with the local staff? They don't have to come all the way to Colombia. There were some questions about distance education. And one of them was mixing actually Palmetto College and all the rest things that we do. And I want to clarify and separate three different things. When we're talking about distance education, right, we have three components. One is the Palmetto College, which offers full degrees across the system. It's not only Columbia, it covers Aiken and Upstate and Beaufort and the two-year campuses, and it's a very nice network because of the connections that they are made between the different campuses that we have. For example, I can tell that Lancaster, right, has nursing that is connected for the 4 years with Columbia. Sumter is doing the same thing with Aiken, and it goes on and on and on. And that's a very strong benefit that we provide for the state by having the system. So that's one component of distance education. But that should not be messed up. And in some way, you know, people believe that this is the same thing with individual colleges here, that they offer their own programs online, full degrees. These are usually master's degrees that we have. Law has a master's degree. By now, I know that social work is working on one, and social work maybe is working for an undergraduate, from what I understand. So this is a different story of having full degrees. But the majority of the online work that we have, right, is individual departments here in undergraduate cases that they don't offer a degree, but they offer some courses, right? And that's the biggest number that we face. So if you look at all these three, and I don't know who asked the question, there were two questions there. If you look at all of them, the growth that I see in the first two, the degrees that Palmetto College is offering for adults, primarily well, our students are adults also, but more mature adults, right? That they can provide a full program, and we may see some more master's programs from our colleges here in Columbia, but not in the undergraduate area. And we'll come back to it when we get a little bit later. There was also a question about IT that some of you asked, and what's the difference between centralized IT or decentralized IT, and what should we do this? And there are two very different approaches. From the centralized IT, what I expect from them is a strategic approach. I'm expecting them to do the big issues, things like cybersecurity for the entire group, right? Storage of data, procurement of equipment. That should be done at the central. Otherwise, we're wasting money and we're becoming a haven for people who sell this equipment. Backbone network, which everybody needs, right? So that's the role of the central IT, and then supporting the colleges, right? And there, the problems is more local needs and support of individual problems that we have. So that's how I see the central and the decentralized. We don't want to be completely decentralized and everybody buys whatever they want. And at the end, we have some kind of an orchestra that plays all kinds of different things, but not music. And at the same time, IT is there, the central IT, to do exactly this, to be the maestro, to help and support what each one of the musicians is doing. One other question that I had, and I don't know if it was phrased exactly this, was where are we right now and where we're heading as a university? I think we're on the move at this point. All the indicators that we follow show that we are in a very positive direction. What am I talking about? Applications, enrollments, student success, retention, and graduation percentages are increasing. Research has increased significantly, even in a very difficult year, this year, with a lot of the federal agents being paralyzed and they're not reviewing proposals. Even under these conditions, we're getting very close to the unique record that we broke last year, over 300 million. Development. You will see the funds that we have brought in, the support that we have brought in over a period of 2 years. We actually named 2 colleges, and it took us 20 years since the last one. And we will have a big announcement next week, actually, for another naming. So this shows confidence, because the people who named, I mean, Joe Rice or Alex Molinaroli, they're smart people. Yes, they have a lot of money, but they don't waste it, right? They are not going to throw it away. They're investing it into the university because they believe that the money will go for good goals and it will actually continue to improve where the university is. So that's another very good indicator. And you talked about athletics. Athletics is doing well. We had great advertising on Friday, and part of it on Sunday. By the way, you know, it's interesting, since you were talking about basketball, there are schools that if they will make it to the Final Four, they will celebrate like crazy. We're used to it by now. It's, you know, expected every year, right? That's not an easy call that we have for them and the expectations. And I'm sure that Dawn right now is still getting ready for next year, because she usually doesn't forget and doesn't forgive. At the same time, I cannot ignore the storms around us. Right? The demographics in the cliff of 26, right, is a storm. It will affect a lot of institutions, especially the smaller institutions. It will not affect us in Colombia, but will change a few things across the country. Talked about the recession. We talked about the uncertainty of the research agencies. We are in a period now that we're expecting something to happen every Friday, right? And we cannot ignore the public trust. It does bring us to the issue of the day or the week or a few months, which is remotely and or hybrid work, right? What we offer as a sector in higher education is personalized services. We're not producing something, we're not selling something, we're just offering personalized services. And we have been doing this very well. We have been doing it by having the right environment, by having the right culture, and we have created this environment and this culture, and it has become the most attractive thing that we have. When you talk to the students coming in and you ask them, why are you here, right? You hear a lot of characteristics, but at the end, they're coming here because they like the environment that we have here. The weather helps. Athletics is part of the environment. Academics, they are, but they feel that they are paying attention to them and we personalize what they want. We give them the feeling of being at home, right? The problem is that we are losing part of this culture, and we are losing part of the strength that we have with a number of our people staying away from the campus. This is about both faculty and staff. While the students, or our customers, if you want to use a business term, are all here still, and there are more and more here, and they see less and less. If we continue to do these services that we provide and to do them online from home, wherever is home, because sometimes, and I was surprised to know this, sometimes it's Lexington, but sometimes it's in Oregon, right? Or is it in Pennsylvania? We have approximately 200 staff members and faculty who live outside of the state of South Carolina. And this is a problem, as you can imagine, right? So if we say that all of this can be done online, what will stop us? What will stop some other people to ask, okay, AI can do finances, right? They will be ready in 2-3 years. AI can do advising. Some schools are doing it. AI can do enrollment. Some schools are doing it right now. AI can do HR. One of the big universities that I know, I heard from their president, 70% is done by AI, right? And it goes on and on and on, right? So what we're trying to do here is to make sure that we maintain what we are and how we have been successful. And we don't want to lose the great advantage that we have built over the years with personalized connections and personalized services that we prefer. This is the motivation, because a number of people ask me, what is the motivation? This is the motivation of the Come Back to Campus message that all of you received last week. And it is not micromanaging, because I heard this in one email that I got from a staff member who was not happy about it and said, we are micromanaging right now and we are not allowing the managers to do their job. It's not micromanaging. It is a strategic decision to protect our position and to protect the benefit that we have when we compete with other universities. I'll give you another example. Right? We have a group that is called post-award group when it comes to the grants that they come in, and they're people that they come from the financial side. They're monitoring this every grant, right? And they let the PIs know that you need that much or you need less of that. Most of this group is out. They're doing 100% online. Arts and Sciences decided to have one or two, I believe, it may be one individual in the college. So the faculty members, because they are now the customer, the personal relationship is not with students, it's with the faculty members, right? That they could go face to face to sit down and have a discussion quickly. I said, I have this problem. And of course, there was the online option. I heard repeatedly from faculty members from Arts and Sciences how they preferred to go to this person because they could have the face-to-face interaction and have the problem resolved fairly quickly. I'm just giving you as an example, right? I'm sure that the rest of the group is doing a good job as well. But when you hear something like this, you realize the difference of the face-to-face versus through a line like this one, the computer through this one. Exceptions can and will be made. It's part of what we communicated, but they have to have a litmus test. And the litmus test will be, is this for the benefit of the students? By the way, pay my salary and pay all of our salaries or a portion of it. Or is it of the benefit of the community as well? If they pass this litmus, it's okay. If it's at the back office, as we call them, I don't know, we don't have back offices anymore, but it was what we call the back office operations. And if this is for the benefit of the university and the students, it's fine. But if the only reason is for the benefit of the individual, then the answer is going to be no. And you're right, because I read this in a number of emails that I got. You're right that we may lose some people who, for several reasons, they will decide to do something else. It's okay. If they find something that is better and fits more what they want to do, I'm okay with this. And we will find and we will replace them with new colleagues who will be willing to be part of this culture and who will be willing to create personal connections and support the most valuable asset that we have. So I know you have a lot of questions, and I'll be happy to hear them, and I'm happy to be here. And sometimes you may not have a question. You want to argue and make a statement, I'll be happy to hear them and maybe try to answer some of them. Thank you for listening.
Now move to open questions with our senators. So please raise your hand, and President Amiridis, Caroline, I go here from HR, the Vice President of HR, and Cami to open it up.
Yes.
Do you anticipate there being any issues with the move to have more people on campus with parking? Because as it relates to just making sure your campus space.
Parking is always a problem, right? So if I would tell you no, I have figured it out, the answer is I'm lying, right? But we'll work on this. We are talking about how can we separate parts for students and for the faculty and staff. The numbers that we have at this point of people who work remotely in the state of South Carolina, because I don't expect anybody from Oregon to start commuting every day and need a parking space. But in the state, it's what, around 700 7:30, right? Now, very few of them it's more like hybrid, right? And so I think we will see more traffic on Mondays and Fridays. Right? But on Mondays and Fridays, there's not that much problem with parking. So all of this has to be examined, and that's why we needed some time. We needed to give everybody some time, first of all, to change their situations, right? And number two, to be prepared, to know where we are. So it's, what is the date? July 1, with the possibility to go even another month further down until, because July 1, you know, the campus is kind of empty anyway. Yes. Well, also that we don't have enough space on campus. It's not correct. We have a lot of empty spaces right now. And if you go to some of our buildings, which are fully occupied, technically they're fully occupied, you don't find a lot of people in there. And I can give you some names of buildings that we have like this. There is also the ability, and I was talking to our architect at this point, to take some of these spaces and renovate. It can be done fairly quickly. So don't worry that much. We'll see what the numbers are going to be once that we bring everybody back. And a lot of the people, by the way, they have an office when they're hybrid. They go to the office for a shorter period of time. What was the second question?
So if we look at the flexibility, how much flexibility does they use? Or people who were hired with that, benefit?
Yeah, we did. This is a person by person, right? Decision that has to be made. And we trust the deans to do the work. Initially, HR will have to take a look to make sure that, we're not using different rules for different people. But then once that we go through the initial phase, they will be on their own. They will be able. And it's not only the deans, it's the department chairs. Because they are the ones in many cases that directly interact with the staff of the faculty members in their departments.
Excuse me, President Cordes, do you mind going back over there? The people online can't hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I was trying to hear. That's why I came close. Yes.
Someone wondering what the flexibility will be in terms of staff who may have alternative work schedules. So for me personally, I work 8 to 4:30. And that for me is because of daycare and childcare, but also because I have faculty who start teaching at 8:30 and may need me, and they did this morning. But then there's always coverage between 8 and 5. So is that still going to be okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And we may even, in some cases, we may even, if there is interest, push in the afternoon or early evening because of the needs of students. The same flexibility that student affairs has for years.
Will there be any consideration for employees with significant commutes to retain some level of flexibility in their work arrangements, even on a hybrid basis? Additionally, what specific support, financial, logistical, and emotional, is the university prepared to offer to help staff navigate this transition back to full on-campus work? And these were some of the things that she additionally put in this email were parking, traffic issues with people who may have 1+ hour commutes.
Yeah. Well, that's the decisions that they have to make, right? Because if you're an hour and a half and, again, we need you on campus, then they have to make a decision. And frankly, we had these problems for 40 years, 50 years now, that people who come from close or they're from a distance and so on.
The last one was, what consideration do you have for smaller units that may only have one staff member? Because I have 2 of those in the College of Arts and Sciences that that I can think of that only have
But what do you
one
mean?
staff member. So what happens if that staff member takes a vacation or gets sick? Like, you can't expect someone to be there all the time because there's only one of them.
So what do you do? Because I'm curious, you have this problem right now, right? If you have one person.
So it's not my unit. I manage history, Southern Studies, and the College of Arts and Sciences Humanities Collaborative. So my units are fine. These are other units that I know of within my building that only have one staff member.
That's a quality issue, quite frankly, because if somebody goes away for a period of time, right, you need to have support. So I think that's an issue from the dean's office. How does he backing up the different units? Yes, thank you. Yes.
In the guidelines, it talks about unique skill sets that someone may have as maybe a condition to consider with the telecommute policy. What are some unique skill sets that might be applicable to be considered?
I can give you an example. For example, development has two people that they're very strategic, that they do just analysis for them. They're full-time. They live out of the state, but they're unique in what they are doing. So that's a unique issue, right? On the other hand, when I see in the list that we have that an administrative assistant who is 5 states away from here has unique skills, what are these unique skills from an administrative assistant? The answer is none, right? So, okay, that's a different story now. And it's actually the person there is in a state that we have a problem with because we cannot pay the taxes, we cannot pay what is needed there in terms of, and it doesn't make any sense. And this is an outcome of COVID, right? Yes.
I have a question on the statement. The question is this a move that you see that can be happening to other colleges in South Carolina, particularly colleges like Clemson or Colascione?
No, this was not, there is a request that came to us from the state asking to send a list of individuals, who are they and what jobs are they doing remotely, right? But that, I don't know what that means, right? And frankly, when we got it, we already had been working on this issue. I don't know what other schools are doing and what situations they have. What are the percentages? What are the numbers and what are they planning, right? That's, I have no idea.
I make this statement. One of the statements in the memo that was sent out was being physically present also enhances collaboration, communication, the overall sense of grade as a greater campus community. Just as me personally, I'm in the business school. We actually work over 3 different offices on campus. We have some that are remote, some that are not. We have 6,000 students. I have not received any complaints from students saying they don't feel like we're a community. I haven't felt anything that indicates that they felt like they're not getting experience that if we were there every day. So that's where it's a little bit, I guess, frustrating from our standpoint, is that even though we do have remote, we have not lost the community. In fact, if anything, we are an extremely strong team, once again, over 3 buildings. So even if we were to do this, we're still not necessarily going to be in the same building. So I disagree with the statement. I think that's a little bit unfair to say that there's not a sense of community already. Once again, you have more research than I do, and you may have heard a lot more feedback than I do from students and from others, but I haven't seen that in our situation.
And I appreciate it. The business school is doing well in a number of things, right? Maybe that's unique there. I have heard complaints from students as well. And families, by the way. It's not only the students, it's the families.
Yes, as teaching and learning has changed significantly since COVID. We've all had to learn to do more and more. We've had staff members that have physically not come back to campus for the past 5. At the same time, just as this gentleman talked about, the communication and the community that's been developed has actually increased our skill set to be able to provide better, faster, quicker, more efficient support specifically to the faculty members. For a simple example is if a faculty member is having issues with, say, Blackboard or Zoom or some other program, it is significantly more effective and efficient if you remote in with that person, talk to them, share screens, even look at their screen, et cetera, et cetera. You literally can't do that face to face. I mean, you can, but it's very cumbersome. At the exact same time, I would echo what the gentleman just said. That has spurred up an entire community of folks that didn't talk before. Also, several staff members are also physically not together on campus and never have been. So they were having to go across campus when it's 95 degrees or go across campus when it was raining. And so even though they are sometimes still physically on campus, they still physically don't go there because of those constraints. And everybody knows about parking and also office space. So my concern is taking some of the bigger picture. I understand the community aspects, and then, but taking that as a blanket and then applying it down to where sort of the rubber meets the road, where all of us as staff members have had significant success, improvements, increasing in enrollments, transitioning enterprise applications while working hybrid, and has increased and improved our quality of life as staff workers due to how we work now. That is my concern, that a blanket will come across. My question, that's a statement, I apologize.
Yes, that's
My
fine.
question is, what's the enforcement policy coming from the universities if folks do not follow what has been put forth?
What do you mean?
In
Who
other
doesn't,
words,
who
if
doesn't follow?
an employee and or a supervisor do not agree with this policy, what's the enforcement policy?
If the supervisor, right, has an opinion and the staff member does not follow this, right? That's what you're asking me. Say, I don't listen to you. Yeah, so what do you think is the answer? The answer is only one, right? So, and the same is true I have with my boss, which is the chair of the board, and my vice presidents as well. So we have a management program, right? We have a management structure there. In terms of your own group of the IT, you had a number of discussions about IT. There are some components that are back office, as we discussed, and that may be very effective. There's also, division, a vice president, who will make the decisions about it. And that's the bottom line. Yeah. Yes. What's the differentiation between faculty and staff? Well, it's the same thing that we put out there. Now, the faculty members, they have to deal with the department chairs. The department chairs have to do this the same way that it's the department chairs in the academic units that they will have to do the same. So it is the same policy that we are talking about. There are some exceptions there, right? So faculty members, for example, that only teach online, right? And they are in an online program. Makes no sense to try to bring them here. The students are not here for their program, right? They're all over the country or over different parts of the state. That's perfectly fine. But if they're teaching here and they're teaching undergraduates, they have to be here. Yes. Or graduate students, by the way. I don't want to separate the graduate students from the undergraduate students. Same story. Both HR and the dean, or HR and the vice president. It's primarily vice presidents that will deal with the back office, because a lot of the academic is front office. But this is a decision between the vice presidents and HR, the vice president for HR. Yes.
Podium. So could you clarify that for the one-off work from home, when a plumber or someone is coming, that will be determined on a case-by-case basis by the leadership of the
Correct.
department? Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank
The
you.
management of the department or the unit, if it's not a department.
Thank you so much. This policy adversely or adversely affecting people who might not be in a student-facing role, but have been granted additional remote days based on medical conditions. Is that one of those special cases that?
That's a different story, right? We are not messing around with medical conditions or, an event in the family, maternal, paternal, these remain the same. We're not going to touch anything.
That you and leadership were willing to share any of that with us if we didn't have one?
No, because it becomes personal issues with names and who is where and what. So that becomes illegal issue. We cannot talk about individuals in this case. Right? Yes.
Sorry, I have 6 questions.
6 questions, and you waited for last. You're trying to kill me. I'm about to say, okay, I'm done.
I was gonna ask all 6, but here we go. So please bear with me. Why was the decision made to notify staff of the change in the telecommuting policy after the survey was closed? And given that policy change, will employees have an opportunity to resubmit the survey? In addition, I'm going to kind of combine 2 questions here.
Yep.
In the email that you sent about the survey, it says it's an opportunity to make your voice heard and create positive change at the university. And given the timing of the closing and the change in telecommuting, can we redo our survey?
Bad timing. It was really bad timing to do that. It was not on purpose trying to change what the staff will say, the faculty, and now take it away. And I promise you that we will do exactly the same thing in the fall. So we can measure again to see if there is a difference. But it's a bad time and it was a mistake to do it. We were not ready for it. We didn't wait because we didn't want to wait for another month after we were ready and then tell everybody that in 1 month this is changing. We wanted to give some space and it was bad timing. We'll work on it to get some answers with that because, and the vice president for human resources haven't heard this, and I see her, she's about to shoot me right now. But I think we can check this again to see if it has an effect, actually, or not.
Activity over the last 5 years. Some units have exceeded expectations since telecommuting was introduced post-COVID. If service and engagement has suffered in other units, why are specific units not having those telecommuting agreements revoked? In other words, why is it a university-wide decision instead of?
Once again, this is not micromanaging, right? The vice presidents, right, and the directors will be involved in this if they can prove that this is for the benefit of the customers that we have, the students, the parents, and for the benefit of the university, because a better performance is for the benefit of the university, right? That will be fine. But if these are not, can be passed this litmus test, that's a different story. And by the way, for a lot of these good things, we have some very bad examples as well. We have people that they have been actually doing 2 jobs, full-time jobs, while they're working remotely. Maybe they're working 16 hours a day, but I very much doubt it. I'm sorry?
Staff well-being, doesn't seem like it's an issue anymore.
What do you mean by well-being? Explain to me. Yeah.
Opportunity to work remotely was sold as, we're concerned about staff well-being, and we think that this will help more positive environment. And so now it seems more like, well, if you don't like it, find another job. It just feels a lot different, and there's a lot of punitive.
It's not punitive. It's not punitive. That's not the intent, right? The intent is protect what we are having, right? Let's not split all over the place and become Phoenix, We are not Phoenix University. We are not online university. We are face to face. And our customers, our students, they need to be interacting with our staff. That's the bottom line. And this is what makes us where we are. This is how I can tell you that, hey, we're great right now. We have no problems. That's what we're trying to protect. It's not, I don't know how you get the punitive part and for what reason. No, I'm not upset about it.
Well-being of it also.
I understand. But this university, with the well-being of the faculty and staff, has been working for decades now. This is a new trend for the last 3 to 4 years. 6.
One up.
Okay, you have more. Yeah.
That's okay. We're all- No, that you've answered. In other ways, yes.
Already we're done?
Well, for now. But-
Okay, all right. I thought you said 6. All right, I was counting. Yes. Yes. I see hands. Yeah. Let's start here. Yes. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Well, you have to be careful about that. We prefer to hire employees from the state of South Carolina. We're a state agency. I will have to face questions if I go in front of any committee in the House or the Senate, and they say, well, why do you have 7 people, for example, working at the state of Oregon right now? How can I answer this for a state agency, right? Unless there are unique reasons. Why are we hiring people way out of the country unless they have unique skills, right? And I can tell you, have looked at the skills, and some of them are justified 100%. We have, for example, some research programs that have to do with rivers in different areas, right? So we have a person that works for us in Colorado. We have one that is in, that's absolutely legitimate. But when you are talking about, again, an administrative assistant, to give the example, or people who read and prepare admission dockets that we have. Why do we need somebody from Pennsylvania? And that's a true case, right? And not have somebody from South Carolina. I have to answer these questions for a state agency that does this. And again, with problems that we have with barriers from state to state. So that's why you are looking at it this way. Yes. Well, all of these are things that need to be considered case by case. If you look at this room, the majority are women here. There were hands up there. Yeah.
Like it took a global pandemic for us to reevaluate a lot
Right.
about what. And finally get to a point where you walk into a room and say, my life is more important than my job. Thank you. I feel like we made these gains. We're just like slowly letting them decide. That's just the way it is. And I'd like to see more of a push to try and reduce some of what we can. A bad situation. But we did make gains. And I don't want to see them just go away because the federal government's ridiculous or state needs a list of people that work for, I'm glad they had that list. What can we do to try and maintain the things that we found with this, and not just wait for it. And what do you think about that? And are you gonna stick up for us when people try to rain down? They are going to for the next few years. We're gonna get attacked. And what's gonna happen when that happens? What are we gonna do? We just gonna let it go and hope that no one notices us? Or are we gonna at least try and stick up for what we gain?
Well, look, a lot of the,
Can I add to that? There's a comment online, and I think it's dovetails into that. It says, is it worth recognizing that for 5 years, USC staff have been teleworking, so the positive campus environment, the community, and the community that the leadership is celebrating and wants to preserve was cultivated by teleworking staff.
20% with 80% being on campus, by the way, right? So the 80% that is on campus carries a lot of load. So let's not exaggerate things either one way or another, right? You said very well that, well, not everybody that is working remotely is X or Y type of behavior. You need to give credit also to the 80%, which is here, because that's the percentages that we have. So I don't know who has contributed. It's all together that has been contributed. The problem is what I'm trying to do is trying to protect the 100%, and especially the 20% that they are not coming here, because the expectations remain the same from the students and their families. That's what I'm hearing. I know there are differences. Where is the business school, for example, right? But that's what I'm hearing as well. There are a lot of existential issues. I have faced exactly the same thing during COVID, right? And I think all of us had a completely different environment that we were used to. We're back to normal by now. COVID is behind us. And has this changed some people forever? Probably. Has it changed the expectation of the students? Not really. That's the difference. Yes.
Yeah, a couple questions from different constituents. So one is, are there options to potentially allow more hybrid arrangements for staff during academic breaks? So for instance, during spring break or during the summer, when most faculty are not here, is there an option to allow more remote work at that time?
We're getting down to the details that I cannot answer these details at this point. You know, I'm not writing everything. I'm not the director of HR. These are things that they have to be resolved now case by case.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, another question would be, in terms of if there is expected attrition, because at least from those of us in the room feel like there could be expected attrition from staff, what is the plan for staff compensation to pick up from that attrition? Because faculty are currently compensated for extra duties and course loads, and staff are not typically. The bold action.
Well, when we have to go out and hire new people, we have to go through the market, right? Otherwise, you are not going to be able to bring them in. So is there going to be some financial changes? Possibly.
So for the people who pick up extra duties.
If they're extra work, for sure, yes. But I don't expect that we will lose staff members and we will not replace them, putting the weight on others. We will hire. Yes.
Typically, sweeping changes response to a problem. Exactly what problem is the staff that you stated that requires this very restriction?
We started from the beginning. You're having me replaying the same things that I said. I think I covered this when I talked about the expectations that we have and the culture that is expected. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. How long has it been? I mean, yeah.
Speaking of personal experience, because I'm picking up for a staff member that we lost, if you talk to your individual HR person, it's based on an algorithm. So, it's based on a percentage of your salary plus the additional work that you're picking up, and then it functions as a bonus. So
Thank you.
Let's give a thank you for President Amiridis. Thank you. We are going to pass committee reports as the updates will be reported on through our secretary, and we will add them to the minutes that everyone can review. So we're going to move just to the order of business, where I'm going to have our parliamentarian, Julia Bellon, come up and to discuss what the proposed changes are.
Given that the awards has now been moved to Human Resources, the Bylaws Committee is proposing a change to the name of the committee. So instead of Awards and Recognition Committee, the committee will be called Staff Appreciation and Recognition Committee. And then the wording, the purpose of the Staff Appreciation and Recognition Committee is to plan and implement the annual Staff Appreciation Day, as well as consider and implement additional USC staff recognition opportunities. The committee will create opportunities to recognize and appreciate staff on the USC campus. So this is the first reading of the bylaw change. Next meeting will be when we actually vote, but is there any discussion today on the first read? Well, that was simple. Okay.
All right. And then moving. Thank you, Senator Hoffman. So with the conclusion of our business portion of the meeting, the floor is now open for updates, announcements, and notices. So if you do have an announcement, I would ask, please talk loudly or I will repeat it for our online constituents, or please come up to the podium as well. Yes, Jessica. Okay.
So, maybe this is geared towards Caroline. I've been getting a lot of questions about issues with the awards forms, especially from staff that work at USC Columbia campus. Who can they contact if they have an issue trying to access the forms for the awards portion?
Let me check on that and see if we can fix it, because I wasn't aware of any.
Yeah, I think it's because of that, because they have that USC med.sc.edu. They aren't able to fill out the forms.
Let me just check on that and we'll fix the issue.
Okay.
If not, just get in touch with me tomorrow, send me an email, and we'll make sure
Okay.
what we need to do.
All right, thank
For
you.
the question, and also for letting me know about it. I'll have
Okay.
And for those online, it was just a question about the Staff Excellence Awards nominations online, the forms. We're having trouble with the alias emails from the medical campus, as well as just if it's not the at mailbox or at email addresses. What other announcements? Yes, Senator Watts. Amazing. Any other announcements? Yes, Senator Chambers.
The equestrian team won their ICC championship for the first time. So that was awesome.
Congratulations. The equestrian team. Awesome. Yes, so the equestrian team, excuse me, won the first ever national championships. Is that correct? SEC championships. Whoop. Okay, take that back. SEC championship, and that was the first time ever that they have reached that accomplishment. So we were very proud and excited for them. What else? Wonderful. So with all business, before we actually conclude, I will share guests, thank you for tuning in and being here today. If you're physically present, we will, right after we close the official business portion of the meeting, as a staff Senate body, we're going to have an executive session, which means closed session just for the senators with the executive committee to discuss today. But outside of that, with business and announcements concluded, is there a motion to adjourn? All right. Senator McCormick, is there a second? Senator Harmon, All in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no. Thank you. The ayes have it, and we will stand in adjournment until May 13th at our next meeting. Thank you.